Welcome to The Next Chapter, a show about how to move your life forward and what comes next. I'm your host, Carrie Pena. Hi, everyone. I'm Carrie Pena, and this is The Next Chapter podcast. With me in studio is someone who I'm so excited to introduce all of you to. It's my friend, Gellyahnah Aakhen, and you have an incredible next chapter story to share. Gell, so good to see you.
I love talking with you.
You have an inspirational story. You were working in the tech and digital space in a networking entrepreneurial role. You built up an incredible business. And then you decided you needed to pivot your entire life, and go on a soul-searching journey. Kind of set the stage for the audience.
Yeah. Why do anything small, right? So you're right. And, so much of this honestly wasn't planned. But what I learned from being an entrepreneur is that when there's an opportunity, you go for it. And so I had the business that you speak of, I had for 14 years. I launched at 27. I was very young by many standards. So I grew up in that business. And around the age of 35, my personal life started to unravel, which set me on a healing journey, which set me on a spiritual journey. And by the age of 40, I found myself completely on a different path. And I knew that I needed to work with people, particularly helping them understand their soul's purpose.
So it's very interesting, that you are now finding and helping people step into their soul's purpose, and you do these soul contract readings and spiritual healing. I mean, you have a 4,000 person waiting list. You have Instagram reels that have gone mega viral, 5 million plus. So let's kind of dig into, because it's not just like, oh, boom, let me go help people read their soul contracts. How did that happen? I mean, how did you step and you made it a business, a viable business, and you're living out your heart's purpose?
Yeah, it's honestly, I feel blessed every moment of every day, and I want other people to feel that way. So the way that it started, again, from my own healing journey, at 35, my divorce came through. And for a lot of people, that's when divorces come through. That tends to be the age, spiritually speaking and statistically speaking. And as I was on this healing journey, one door led to the next, And when I was 38, I came across this particular methodology of work. And really what I do is I can take somebody's birth name and help them understand the essence of that name. Because spiritually speaking, it's the soul that chooses the name. So the soul pre-plans its life. And so the training that I have is understanding how to decode the name to see what the soul pre-planned to experience. Like what is the karma? What are going to be the challenges, our talents, our goals? Ultimately, what is the purpose? And for me, when I discovered this work and looked at my own chart, for the first time, my entire life made sense. And it was this immense watershed moment where I felt like, if I figured this out, I need to help other people figure this out. And that was sort of how it got started.
What did it do for you when you felt like you figured it out? Because I knew you prior to that moment. I've always thought you were awesome. You had a different life, though. You had a different lifestyle.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way, just the calmness this has brought to you, sort of the serenity. It's easy to see that in your persona. So talk about when you figured that out for you. How did that change you?
Well, I'll tell you, the first thing that came through was an immense amount of forgiveness. And I think for a lot of people, they carry so much resentment and they're not able to let things go. And that's what holds them back from moving forward. So when you can have this moment of clarity to understand that this baggage you're carrying, like you really don't need to carry. And there's a big difference between knowing it in your head and actually being able to release it in your heart so that you can move forward. So because I was able to move forward and do what I did, which again, to some people maybe seems a little out there, but essentially the business I had for 14 years, I put it up for sale. It was sold within 3 months. But before it was sold, I was already doing the readings for people because I got on TikTok and I blew up on TikTok. That was the first platform that blew me up.
What did you say on TikTok? What were some of the things that you were saying that you feel like people were gravitating toward?
I was essentially telling people that by looking at the sound of your name, I'm able to see your soul's purpose. And I think what's happening right now, I know what's happening right now, is so many of us are searching. And this is post-COVID era. So people are waking up in immense amounts and they want answers. They know that there's more out there and they can feel it. So we're a lot more sensitive to the energies right now, even somebody that wasn't sensitive before. So it's actually not difficult to get people interested, because I have a lot of clients that come to me and they say, I've never done a reading before. I've never even considered doing a reading before. I don't even know if I believe this, but what you said made so much sense. I wanted to talk to you.
What do you think people are seeking when they come to do a soul contract reading? Are they, a lot of the people are looking to find out more about themselves, or are they looking to have you kind of help them figure out what to do next in their life? What is your take on that?
They're looking for, what is my ultimate mission? What am I here to do? Am I here to just be a mom? Am I here to pursue wanting to become a lawyer? I had somebody email me the other day, actually, so fresh out of my inbox. And she said, I'm 43. I launched this business recently, but I have no passion for it. And what I'm really being called to do is to help women come out of domestic violence situations. And she said to me, what do you think I should do? And I'm looking at this email and I'm thinking, okay, how many people are walking around thinking I need to help women out of domestic violence situations? So clearly, if you're thinking that and you're driven to that, that's a path for you. And so I emailed her back, specifically asking her why she's called to this, full on knowing what her answer was going to be, but I wanted to guide her sort of through her own thought process. And when she replied to me, she of course gave me the answer I figured she would, which is it's something that she survived herself through, growing up with an abusive father, then getting into that kind of a marriage, boyfriends, and the way that she was able to get herself out and then start a business and get herself on track. Yes, when we go through life, we have a set of experiences. And when we get to the other side, we are meant to turn around and help other people with similar experiences. So I said to her, what you went through is not for nothing. Clearly, you're here to help the women that you're being called to help. And
a lot of your work centers around age, right? You talk about sort of this period of time around age 40.
Yeah.
And what significance is that?
Age 40 is significant there are many texts, sacred texts that point to it, but I will quote Carl Jung, who most people have heard of. And he said, everything up until the age of 40 is research. 40 and above is when life really begins. So what I tell people is if you don't figure out your purpose, or if you're at least on your way there by the age of 40, past the age of 40, you begin to feel very unfulfilled. Even if seemingly you're in the right career, seemingly you're in the right relationship, but you feel something is missing, and it gets louder as the years go by.
And so from there, if someone's doing a reading with you and they say, okay, I hear what you're saying and I feel that, but then what? What do I do? Because the whole concept of this show is the next chapter. How do we turn the page? How do we become our best selves, whatever that looks like? And I think that's why I was so excited to have you on, because for you could have walked into this with fear, not knowing you're a mom, you have a young daughter, and there's a lot of complications there of turning the page in such a significant way. So how do we, what's next when you feel that? I'm not fulfilled. I'm not checking all the boxes in my heart and my soul. What do you tell people?
I think the alternative is worse than whatever fear they might be facing. The alternative is being miserable, and that could lead to all sorts of disease. To me personally, that's not even an option. Knowing what I know meaning, what I've learned from my entrepreneurial journey, what I've learned from life. When I turned 40 and I got a very loud calling that now it's time for me to step into my purpose, I didn't blink an eye. I didn't necessarily know how I was going to do it, but I said, okay, we're doing this. And that was part of why I got on TikTok. So you ask me, somebody has a calling, what do they do? You need to get an action, right? So I got on TikTok. That was the thing back then. And I literally just started posting videos. And if I look at the first few videos I posted, they're cringe. I didn't know what I was doing, right? Most of us don't know what we're doing when we're starting, but you just have to start. And it was one foot in front of the other. And one day I opened up my app and the first video went viral. And I was like, what is happening? I didn't even understand. And then all of a sudden I see the second video goes viral. And he just kept doing that. Why? Because people are so desperately seeking this information. And the people that are looking for you, they will find you. So that was my vertical. But everyone has their own passion in their own vertical. So the people that need them will find them.
And to be clear, this is a successful business venture because you've taken your expertise in the tech and the digital world and you've applied it to what you're doing now with the soul contract reading. So for anyone who's watching or listening thinking, all right, well, this girl just sits around and chats with people about their souls. There's a lot more going on there and you've made a very successful business for yourself.
Yes. And thank you for stressing that mainly so people understand being in the spiritual sector is actually a very viable way to make a living. Because when I do my readings for clients, that is one of the biggest pushbacks I get. They say, well, I want to get into Reiki, or I want to do readings, or I want to do what you do, but I don't know how I would do it because I'm afraid it's not going to bring in money or the kind of money I'm making in corporate, right? Or whatever the case is. That's not true. Mm-hmm. There's so many people seeking this information. We were talking, about this before when I first walked in. I have a massive waiting list. There's not a lack of people that want this information. There are digital courses that I create. There are other digital products. So it's not just me doing readings that creates the income and the lifestyle. So, and again, the reason we're even talking about this is for anybody listening that wants to pursue their passion. Nowadays, you can make money doing anything, good money. That's just in 2024, that's the times that we live in. So that is not an excuse.
Yes. And with your book, because I know you're going to be writing a book, what do you want? What's the message you want to send out to the public? What do you want to write about in your book?
Well, I think I want to impart wisdom on people. What that is, I'm going to have to sit and channel, but I really want to share wisdom with people that's going to help them live their lives in a very practical way. Because even the word soul contract may sound a little woo-woo, but when I sit down to do a reading with somebody, I'm looking at what is going on in your life? What are the challenges? Where are you stuck? And we'll call this karma, but the other word is literally, it's a repeating negative pattern. Why does this keep happening to you? Where are you experiencing the disempowerment? And then we talk about how to work through that. So within my readings, I'm trying to impart sacred wisdom, but also make it super practical so they can lead their better lives and actually step into doing what they're so intended for them to do.
For you, what does this feel like living in this moment, what you've created and achieved to now a 4,000 person waiting list, hyper viral videos, also a busy and active and engaged mom. So you have been able to do all those things. What does it feel like?
It feels amazing. It's so nice. I can hang out with my daughter whenever she wants. Truly, I have to tell her, we have to limit our Target runs because that's otherwise, every day is like, can we do another Target run? But if we want to do that, we can. Mm-hmm. And there really are no time limitations. There's no restrictions because I've built the type of lifestyle to be able to have capacity for her in every way.
So that is intentionality in how you're living your life. Can you leave the audience with some words of inspiration about no matter what that looks like for every person, because it's different. Not everyone's going to feel comfortable having a soul contract reading. Some will, and they'll be intrigued, and that's great. You're never trying to force that on anyone, but to give them some inspiration about tap into what will make your heart and soul truly happy, and what that could lead to in their lives for people. Because you said, we feel trapped a lot of times. Like, I can't do this. I'm stuck. I'm not happy. There's so much, mental illness going on, anxiety, depression, all of these things. Talk about the freeing nature of really tapping into your heart and soul.
Well, besides the fact that it's freeing, here's what I would like to share, because this is something that I get asked often. You don't have to get a soul contract reading with me to know what your soul's purpose is. Here's how you know what your soul's purpose is. Look at the things you were interested in when you were a child. When your soul was young and pure in this lifetime, and before the world got to you, you came in with that essence of what you were meant to do. So for me, I was always interested in the mystical. I tell people, when I would go to the mall with my friends, they would run off to Abercrombie and I would run off to the psychic stores, because I was just always drawn to it. If you walked into my room in high school, it always looked like there was a seance going on in there with all the candles and the incense. I was always drawn to this handwriting analysis, astrology, numerology. And so when I look back at my life, it would almost be comical if I didn't step into doing this work, because I was always drawn to it. But my ego and society told me this is not a viable thing. I had to, go to college, get the degree, get married, have children, that's what society tells us. But I tell everybody, just look back at when you were a child. What were you interested in? That was your soul telling you and guiding you.
Your soul purpose. Mm-hmm. I'm so happy for you and so excited to see what you do next in the book, and how many people you're helping. So just as we close, I just would wonder to ask you, how does it feel when you end a reading and you know that you've really touched someone? You know that you've really done something that's going to help them.
It's truly an honor to be a part of somebody's spiritual journey, and I don't take that lightly.
How can people find out more about, I know you're all over social media, but just let's spell it out where people can find you, because you're also training advisors underneath you. So you're building, this career for other people who may feel this calling.
Yes, absolutely. And I'll be doing more of that next year as well. Instagram is probably one of the best ways to find me, and it's soul_contracts_practitioner.
And Instagram, and then you're still doing your TikTok?
I am, but I'm a lot more active on Instagram as of right now.
Thank you so much for coming in and sharing all of this, your heart and your soul, with the audience. I appreciate you.
My pleasure, Carrie.
And thanks to all of you for watching and listening. This is the Next Chapter podcast. I'm Carrie Pena.